Since 2013, Law at the Margins has created space for organizers and activists to connect with each other. We've done this through a series of public conversations, in written articles, webinars, and by streaming over social media on topics ranging from Indigenous organizing, migrant justice, prison abolition, worker organizing, and reproductive justice. In 2018, we launched the community-based newsroom to provide resources and open narrative space for underrepresented organizers, including incarcerated people, death row inmates, family members of the imprisoned, and undocumented immigrants to tell their own stories and shape their own narratives. And one of the first journalists to join the project was Shandre Delaney, who's here with us today. Shandre is a prison abolitionist. Her son, Carrington Keys, was released from prison on May 15th, 2018, after serving 20 years. Keys spent 10 of those years in solitary confinement, and since then, Shandre has become a vocal advocate for her son and for all prisoners. Since 2018, she's been a regular contributor to our community-based newsroom. And more recently, in her Movement Talks series, she talks with organizers about Toxic Prisons campaign, about strategies for stopping prison construction, the incarcerated people's struggle to access mental health resources, the impact of incarceration on families, especially women, and the rapid increase in the incarceration of mothers. She also talks about what it means to fight for abolition and how people are doing it successfully. Shandre joins us today to talk about writing for liberation, what it's meant for her to become a writer and a journalist, and what it would take to bring forward the voices of more activists and organizers struggling for justice. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us today, Shandre.
You're welcome.
So I was wondering if we could just get started, Shandre, if you could just tell us a little bit about how you situate yourself as a writer and how it connects to your work as an activist.
At first, I really didn't consider myself a journalist, only because I'd never been trained or educated in journalism. But after writing so many articles and opinion pieces and receiving acknowledgments from others, I finally came to the realization that, hey, I'm a journalist. To be honest, I guess I've always been good at writing and at storytelling, but I never connected it to being a journalist. I started speaking to be a voice for others because of the need to educate the public and to change the narrative about prisoners. When I'm doing speaking, you normally only get like 3 to 5 minutes. So I had to learn how to tack a powerful punch into those 3 to 5 minutes. So that kind of helped me in my writing and being creative. As far as connecting my activism, I would say that my work as a journalist is a form of activism. I'm able to use my writing to empower people and to lift voices and movement to the forefront. Someone who is behind the walls can be a voice by me just recording them and putting their voice out to the public. And this lets people know that they're human just like us. But that's like, as far as my activism, that my journalism is my activism right now.
I love that. Can you talk about who's supported you as a writer and what they've done to you to be helpful?
I would say first off, great people that are great editors, and especially Law at the Margins, because I mean, they not only have been my editor, but they've also been a great source of encouragement for me. Just to name, I just want to call them out, Eric Ortiz and Shamtoli Huck. Those two really, really helped me develop my writing and push me, push me into doing better with my writing and to doing more, more than I really ever anticipated that I would be doing.
That's great. So I have a question. You're a mother and a grandmother. When do you write? How do you do it, just practically speaking? Do you have a ritual about it? How does it happen?
Wow. Being a mom and a grandmom is like 24/7. It doesn't stop. So you have to be creative. Besides being a mom and a grandmother and a writer, I'm also running a nonprofit, and I still, help other people with different organizations as I can. As you can guess, 24/7. The job is also 24/7 of working with prisoners because it's nonstop. The things that are happening inside of the prison. So what I try to do, I try to make myself a schedule. I try to stick to the schedule because that's kind of hard as well. But like being more organic is like I usually wake up at around 3 a.m. and during like 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. is like a good time for me. It's for whatever reason, the world is just quiet and I can really focus and think. So I do a lot of my writing then. Also, like if I write during the day, I try to just make sure that it's quiet, that it's like the environment is good for me to work in. I use a lot of aromatherapy and essential oil diffusions and stuff to help me mentally focus and stuff when I'm doing, when I'm working during the day.
I love that. If folks haven't seen it, Shandre also wrote a piece about self-care that kind of brings in some of these themes that it sounds like that make it possible for you to make space to write. You talked a little bit about how Shamtoli and Eric have been helpful to you in developing yourself as a writer. I'm wondering if you could share with us a little bit how you first connected with Law at the Margins.
I got connected with Law at the Margins. There was a young lady named Vania Goldston. We had talked about this some time ago, like how did we get connected? And I kind of did a little bit of research, and there was a young lady named Vania Goldston. She had been helping me when I was doing the work with my son and others trying to get their story out in the forefront. She was one of the people who was always helping me and connecting me with different media. And so she connected me with Law at the Margins and said, hey, this person might be a good person, to write for you all.
Oh, that's great. And was there something in particular that drew you to Law at the Margins as a platform in particular?
I would say I like the fact that it isn't mainstream media, it's community-based, and that it's from the impacted. And so you're getting the story straight from those who are experiencing, whatever it is.
Yeah. Do you think that as you've written more and as you've, really stepped in as a journalist, do you think it's changed that your writing or your activism has changed because of your journalism?
I would say that my writing has strengthened. As I said before, I was kind of mentored and guided by editors Shamtoli and Eric. And I kind of started out writing from a personal perspective, and most of my writing was on prisons and solitary confinement. But now it's not really limited to just prison. but it's more broad-based and spotlighting on injustices in all its shapes and forms. And I'm raising up those who are most impacted and those who are marginalized. Basically, I look at it from the perspective that so many of the different movements are intertwined, and that's kind of how I write. As far as my activism, due to COVID, it's more online than in person. But I can say because so much of it's online, I'm more engaged with different movements outside of the abolition work that I've been doing.
That's interesting, just because you can connect with more people in an online platform. Shandre, I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit. You've written a lot of pieces for theMargins, and I'm wondering if there's one that stands out to you as your favorite.
I would say the one of the most important to me and the most relevant would be the article that I wrote about women. It's titled "The U.S. Incarcerates More Women Than Any Other Country, and 80% of them are mothers." It's important because women are increasingly the highest percent of the incarcerated. And also, these women are mothers. So this is significantly impacts families. This impacts our foster care system, which also feeds into the prison pipeline. Now, I was just thinking about this today, like with the overturning of Roe versus Wade, we have to wonder if more mothers, are going to be put into the prison system. So that, to me, that's like one of the most important pieces that I wrote.
Yeah. Can you talk about what it was like putting that piece together, doing the research for it and talking to people?
It was kind of enlightening, and I kind of already knew, that women, that more and more women were going to prison, but I never knew that the number was so big. I don't know. It's very, I don't know, it's frightening. It's frightening.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think one of the things about the work that we're doing and that we've seen is that social movements have always had their own media outlets, right? People have tried to create their own stories and have created their own stories. And I think theMargins would like to be a part of that history. And one of the ways that we're doing that, certainly, I think, is through sharing the work that you and other community-based newsroom journalists create. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about how being a journalist fits into that history of social movements owning their own stories.
I think right now, we're in the time that we're in is a powerful moment in itself. Just because so much is done on social media and in the virtual world, we have access to a larger number of people. But at the same time, not being that law at the margins is not in the mainstream media. It's kind of like we need to be able to get to a wider range of people. I just think that being online does have its advantages, I can say that, but we need to think of more creative ways to use the virtual world to access people and also to access other people who, who like me, might be in a position to become a writer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I definitely. I think that part, you were saying when you were talking about organizing and being a mom and being a grandmother, that it's really a 24/7 commitment, right? It takes a lot of detailed and exhausting work, certainly. And I think for a lot of people, taking the time to write, taking the time to create any kind of media, getting their stories out there, it can really seem like a very overwhelming task. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about what it would take to bring forward more voices in your experience with the people you've talked with. What would it take to get more people involved in creating their own stories?
I think just like I was empowered to be a storyteller, we have to convince others in similar situations how their voice can be powerful. We have to let them know that their voices can be articulated in many different forms, writing, being visible. I mean, like me, just going out and communicating to people and being a speaker. By doing that, I was able to transform that into being a storyteller and a journalist. So, you're saying what would be helpful? I think what would be helpful is for people like me and other writers that we have writing for Law at the Margins who are activists, turned advocates, or into journalists. I think we would be a great mentor and support and guidance for other people, to help them do what we're doing.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm really curious. So you've put together this Movement Talks series, and it's really powerful. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you, because what I see is that you are actually doing that work, right? You're talking with people and making space for them to tell those stories. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about what that process has been like for you, how you reached out to people, and how people responded when you reached out to them about telling their story.
Mm-hmm. First off, like the Movement Talks was created in order to tell people's story, but at the same time, we want to spotlight the different movements, and we also want to spotlight individuals who are on the front lines doing the movement work. So just in my, through my writing, through my being involved in a lot of different movements, I have kind of a big network of people. So I reach out to those people, and I tell a lot of people about what our mission is, and our mission is to spotlight their movements and to spotlight the work that they're doing. And people are very happy to contribute or to be interviewed, because they want people to know about the work that they're doing, and they want people to know about what the work that they're doing and why they're doing it. So most of the people are happy to do an interview. The way we do it, we normally put out a question. I usually put out a question, or I'll write a question, and then I'll send it around and see, if someone wants to make a comment on it. And we have so many people, that are happy to make comments, and we learn so much from the different people that we're able to. There's so many different conversations that come out of just having like one conversation with these people. So that sparks more articles and more interviews on, you know what I mean?
Definitely. Have people talked about, I mean, you said people are really happy to share. I'm wondering because, right, we don't hear people, like we don't hear people's voices. So I'm wondering, have people shared with you some of the challenges they face in telling their stories elsewhere, that they don't find who to talk with or who will listen to them?
I've never had anyone tell me that, but I know that a lot of mainstream media is not really interested in the story of the marginalized people or the people that are not like them, or the people that mainstream media wants to put on, like it's kind of a drawback. Like they don't want to hear people's voices. So we don't. You hardly hear from people like me or impacted people or marginalized people.
Mhm, mhm. I want to open up the space a little bit, Chandra. Thank you so much. To see if folks who are on the call have questions that they'd like to ask you about your work, about the work that you've done, about your journalism. And about what it really takes to get to bring those voices forward. I see Maureen has her hand up.
Hello. Are you ready for me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
if other folks have questions, you can go ahead and just drop them in the chat.
Sorry, I wrote mine down. Old school. Anyway, I was just thinking, Chandra, thank you for your words, sharing. You had said that currently your activism is your journalism, which I agree is activism, but then you were saying that you run a nonprofit, right? And you're working with prisoners. And I'm just thinking, like, aren't those also active? Aren't you doing a lot of activism? Like on
Oh,
different fronts, beyond the journalism, which is obviously very important. But like, I don't know what what the nonprofit organization is that you run, but often they are activist organizations, right? And so I just wanted to throw that out there, ask if you could elaborate on that.
most definitely, every aspect of what I'm doing is activism. The work that I do with prisoners, I do a lot of work around solitary confinement, toxic prisons, and then I also do work outside of the prison work with other organizations. Do a lot of different work with other organizations.
Wow, it's important. It's really important. There are so few people. I think activism in America is one of those things that's been, along with socialism or whatever, that's been sort of demonized, or at least become not widely cultural, activism. And so it's just impressive and important, honoring and acknowledging all the different work that you're doing, which is, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen. If anyone else has questions, feel free to raise your hand or put your questions directly in the chat. I think kind of related to that, Chandra, I'm curious, it seems like the abolitionist project seems a lot to be about envisioning a more beautiful, a more liberatory future. And I'm wondering if you talk about the relationship between storytelling, right, as a journalist and as a writer, and envisioning that future.
Could you say that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. I think when I think about abolitionism, I think about what it would look like to build a more liberatory future for everyone, right? That to really create a different kind of society. And I'm wondering how, like, what is the relationship between doing that work in closing prisons and the relationship between doing that work and telling stories of people who are doing that work. So the storytelling and the envisioning of a different kind of future.
Okay, I got it. I think the storytelling part is very important to doing the work, because with the storytelling, you're educating the public. You're putting a face to the people who are experiencing different things or impacted by different things.
Yeah,
I think, I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, we really appreciate, Shandre, you sharing your experience, what it means to you to be a journalist, what it's taken for you to do this work. We have one more question coming in right now from Lawrence, who's asking if there are writers who inspire you.
Yes. Actually, the writers that come to mind are some of the people who helped me along on my journey. Vicky Law, she's an attorney, and she does a lot of work around women's issues with the prisons. And also Molly Crabapple, she's a writer, but she's also a prolific artist. She does some very good work with like animation. She draws, but she does like some type of animation thing. But those two are kind of my favorite people, just because I followed them a lot, and I like the fact that they're women and that they're using their platforms to help others and to fight injustices.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the question, Lawrence. There's also a question here, Chandra, about, you touched on it a little bit, but if you could talk with folks a little bit about what it means to be an abolitionist.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure, about what it means to be an abolitionist.
What it means to be an abolitionist? To me, it means that I'm envisioning a world where we don't have prisons, a world where I don't know, to me, I don't know how to explain it, but I just think justice looks like coming from the community, from your peers, really your peers. You know, like when you go to court, they say a jury of your peers, but it's never a jury of your peers. So to me, it's looking at being having the community more involved in taking part in doing justice. I mean, there are people that, that maybe, that we can't, that system won't help, or cure or get justice from. But for the most part, to me, I think restorative and transformative justice is the way. And I mean, that goes from within all the systems, the police system, the court system, every system that feeds into the prison system needs to be overhauled, because none of them are working and none of them are doing what they're supposed to be doing, or what they claim that they're supposed to be doing.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that really speaks to the visioning that we were talking about earlier, right? The need to create something completely different. And I want to ask you a little bit, because you were talking about storytelling as a public education, right? As a way of educating people about the stories that you're telling, so that people have a more complete picture of what's going on. And what strikes me is that there's a lot of different ways, especially now, for stories to get out there, you know, whether it's a TikTok video or Instagram video, or like live streaming like we're doing right now, or writing a particular piece. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you see your work creating community, or what it would look like to create community around the stories that you're telling, how that can get done.
Do you mean as far as like building the creative community?
Building the creative community and have more people being able to access the stories that you're telling.
Mm-hmm. I guess kind of like what I was saying before, we need to find, be creative and think outside of the box, and using all those different platforms, the TikTok, like all the different social media, to build, to build our creative community. I don't know. It's just that everything's online now. You know what I mean? And so when I'm thinking, I'm always thinking about, how I can use the virtual world to improve everything and to build upon.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
The question.
So there's a question in the chat about if you could comment further on how pregnant people and mothers are more and more becoming the focus of surveillance and incarceration. And just as you were mentioning earlier with the overturning of Roe, it seems that the policing of women's lives is becoming worse.
Mm-hmm. I like right now, it's really an issue, because like before, in the past, people who were pregnant weren't really incarcerated to the extent that they are now. Now we have women who are giving birth inside of prison, women that have died or lost their children because, excuse me, they're screaming for guards, to let them know that they're giving birth. Like, there's been so many situations like that. What was another part of the question? I know they were saying about pregnant women and mothers.
Mm-hmm.
Mothers, an issue with mothers that the children are being fast-tracked a lot of times into the foster care system. They're not even letting the moms go through their adjudication, through their sentencing or whatever, before they're they're taking their kids away. They're not even letting them come home. Before they even come home, their kids have been put into the foster care system. And like I said before, the foster care system is not what it's cracked up to be, because a huge percentage of kids that are in foster care end up being in the prison system. So all of those are connected, and they all need to be, like they say, defund. They need work. They need work done in all those areas.
Thank you. Thanks for that question answer. Are there other questions from folks on the call? That's great. One of the things that struck me, Shandre, when we were talking previously, and that, you know, when you were talking about becoming a writer, and is there's this connection between you writing and things actually getting done. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that connection, either with different writing that you've done, writing letters, making appeals, that kind of thing, or with the people that you've worked with, just this connection between writing something down and getting something done.
Mm-hmm. I could say I could use my son's case and kind of the reason why I started writing. Back in Luzerne County, this county is very anti-prisoner, it was a very conservative place, I'll say that. And what I did was use the media and able to change the narrative. I wrote a lot of opinion pieces, and I did a lot of editorials in the different newspapers throughout the area, because the way we were looking at it is that these are the people that are going to be in the jury pool. So we want people to know and understand, you know, what prisoners are going through, and basically what really happened in the particular case. I used there were talk radio shows that I never thought that would let me on in that town, and they let me on and let me say what I had to say. And even the local television station, we were lucky. There was a new young lady, and she was trying to make a name for herself. So she actually used the video that we had. We had a video of what had happened to my son in solitary, of the guards abusing him, and she actually put it on the air in that county. So that was something very powerful. So I do trust and believe that, you know, if you're writing, if you're putting things out in the media, it can help. It can help change. You know what I mean? It can help change the outcome, or help improve situations for people.
Yeah. Well, I'm very inspired by the work that you've done in that, Shandre. And when you're saying that, it's very hard to imagine the courage it takes as a mother to share that publicly, and it's very powerful. And I'm grateful for your example and for you sharing your example with us today. If I want to invite questions one more time in the chat, if other folks have questions. But really, I just want to thank you, Shandre, for your work and for sharing it with us today. This is part of the core of what Law at the Margins is trying to do, to bring in more voices and to be a platform for building the community, and for building a community of activists, building a community of folks who can envision together a different world. So thank you so much, Shandre, for your work and for sharing with us today. You can see all of Chandra's work at theMargins.com. We encourage you to go there, to subscribe to our newsletter, and to support us in this work and join us as part of the community. Thank you all so much. Lots of thanks for you in the chat, Chandra.
Thanks, everyone.
So we're going to go ahead and close out. Thank you all for coming today and for sharing with us. Thanks again, Chandra.
Oh, great. So that was nice.
That was nice.
Someone put in the chat, can I just say that that TV show did not let you do that. You did that. You created that narrative of that exposure. Yes, they did it with you, but you created it. That was nice.
That was really nice.